All right, I want to show you some of the pieces that I've been experimenting with using the Mod Podge plastic bag and tissue or napkins. So here's one where I put a painting that I did on a tea bag. I sort of collaged it inside of it. I've added a sculptural element here, a piece of paper, and you can see on the back that what I first did was I did some staining with some alcohol-based paints. So I'll probably work into this piece, but you can see holding it up to the light that the light does pass through it. And that is the beauty of this technique. So here I use some yellow tissue, and then I put some powdered pigment on there, and that's where you see that opacity when you're looking through it. That is a more concentrated application of the gold pigment, but you can see that light does pass through it, and if I put something underneath it, it would show through, right? So the reason why this technique works well is that it allows you to put it on top of something and have that something show through, so it could be text or whatever. So here is another experiment that I did. I wanted to see how different materials worked. So the blue line outlining the drawing is a Sharpie. You can see it's not super saturated. It looks like it didn't completely pull off the surface. There's alcohol inks. The bright orange is an acrylic paint. And you could see the acrylic paint works really well. So what I did is I did my drawing, and then I put a wash of color behind it, and then did the drawing on top. And you can see that it is super transparent because I use just the white tissue. And what's good about that is you can then overlay it on whatever it is that you would like to overlay it on by simply putting a layer of gel, medium or Mod Podge underneath, and just sticking it right on top. So it's like a good way to build things up. The other one I had a drawing that I did on tracing paper, added a little color to it and did pen and ink, cut around it, and I created this background using matte medium. And I put down some colors using the acrylic paint, and some metallic powders, and it is completely integrated, right? You can see here, this is a separate drawing, but once it's put on there with the medium, it completely integrates with the surface. And again, what's good about it is you could put it on something else and have a little bit more depth. So then I wanted to experiment because I know I gave everybody some oil pastels. So this is, oh, it's going to have a hard time focusing. But this is a drawing that I just did with the oil pastels right on the plastic bag. I put some alcohol markers around it. And then this is orange tissue that I worked on top of the napkin after my first layer. So it works. I would say I'm going to experiment again with putting a base layer of matte medium down, doing the drawing with the oil pastels, then putting on the Mod Podge and the tissue, and pull it off and see if I get more saturation. Because I think part of it was the plastic was really shiny, so it pulled off a little bit. Okay, then I was like, well, what happens if you put found materials in there? So you can see here is actually what I would use as the front, but on the back you can see that I put a layer of Mod Podge down. I put down my leaf and my texture with this right here is an alcohol-based marker. And then I put my Mod Podge and my tissue on top of it. And again, I've been enjoying the metallic powders. So, and you can see that's a little bit more textural because it actually has these three-dimensional objects in it. And if I paint into this, it's going to have some interesting effects with the texture encased inside. And then the last one, I wanted to see, since I've been playing with frottage, and it might take a little minute for this to focus. I don't know if it's going to focus completely, but what I did is I essentially did my frottage, like my rubbing. I actually did it on a piece of tracing paper so that it was more transparent. I was trying to see, I had a little feather here somewhere. And then I took those frotaged elements and I layered them on top of the Mod Podge, and then I put my tissue and then more Mod Podge, and you can see that they work really well. Of course, it's a little bit less, if I put it on a darker background, you're going to see less of the drawing, right? You need this one, because I use such a light color, is going to work better on a lighter background. So again, so these are just some different ways that you can work with this technique to get some interesting effects, and then it can easily be cut up and put into different shapes. So yeah, I thought maybe that would be helpful for you to see the different ways. And I'll come back to this one with the Mod Podge because I think it has possibilities. Okay, I hope that's helpful.